Okay, I guess we can start. Well, first, thanks again for joining today's training. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Anna, Learning and Development Specialist, and as you can see, today's training is about mentorship. Well, because we have a growing number of newcomers at Exactpro, their learning, mentoring, and development are one of the important topics. That's why we decided to conduct today's training. And the training, overall mentorship training, will include two chapters. Well, today's chapter is key aspects of mentorship, and in this chapter, we will talk over about mentor mindset and the 5 guiding principles of successful mentors. But also in this chapter, we will touch on some evaluation data topics. But to make it clear for you, these topics will be discussed in depth in our second chapter, which is Exactpro practices, and which we are going to implement in our company. So let's start. But before we go to the training, I would like to know your answers about the current question, what it means to be a mentor. So please write your answers in the chat so I to be able to see it. Let's see. What do you think? What it takes to be a mentor? Oh, pay. Again, others. What do you think? Help others. Thanks. That's good point, Thomas. Help people with learning. Thanks, Elena. That's really good point. Patience, understanding, and knowledge. Thanks, Michael. Lead others. Thanks, Mikhail. Be an example. That's really good point, Alexander. Thanks. Responsibility. Yep, that's really important also, Alexei. Sharing knowledge. Exactly. To teach taking responsibility. Yep, thanks, Marina. Direct those who need it. Thanks, Nicholas. Well, I guess we have a really good point here in the chat, but now let's move on to our topic, that is mentor mindset. And well, nowadays mentoring is one of the actively used method in learning and development. And it's also, and many companies are working on mentorship and trying to improve their practices. And it's also actively researched topic, and based on the practice and research, experts are highlighting 6 components of mentorship mindset that can help you to grow as a mentor. Well, I would say that it's not easy to meet all the 6 components and to put that into practice. But if you try to work on them, and if you try to use them in your mentoring experience, then you can see how big and positive impact it can has on your mentoring outcomes. We will go through each component and explain what we mean under them. So let's start with the first component of mentorship mindset, and it is as a mentor to be a life learner. Well, what we mean here, all of you who are in this training already means that you have some set of skills, I mean hard and soft skills, that gives us opportunity to see you as a mentor. But I would say that it's not enough to just stop because you have some set of hard and soft skills. You should continue to progress and improve yourself. But at the same time, mentoring is a totally different skill, and it is also and you can develop a mentoring skill. But developing something, and especially when we are talking about mentoring skill, it's important to have a information about the overall process regarding mentorship that was implemented by you. And one of the important tools to get that information is feedback. Well, during about mentorship, you can get feedback from different resources. And I would say that one of the important resources are those people that experiencing firsthand the results of your taken actions and made decisions. And these people are your mentees. You can get their feedback during one-on-one session when you also provide feedback to them. But please keep in mind that you should highlight beforehand and communicate that you also are expecting feedback from them, because they have a time to prepare for that. But also, when you raise a feedback topic or feedback question, you should keep in mind that our mentees are taking first steps in our company, and they aren't aware how valuable feedback is in our company and how valuable feedback is for us. Or they might have a experience in their previous company where feedback was not valuable or actively used. That's why when you raise a feedback topic or when you raise a feedback question, please try to draft it in the way not to make your mentee kind of intimidated to answer that question. So when you try to communicate a feedback topic, you can do that in this way. Tomorrow we will have we will have a one-on-one session where I will provide my feedback, but at the same time, I want to get your point of view. I would like to know what you think, what we can improve, change in our work, in our communication, in our interaction to make and improve our results, to make progress. So this way they will have an opportunity to think about it and to think about it beforehand. Also, you can get feedback about mentorship from your senior people or from your colleagues who are also mentoring them, and they might have the same experience, they might have the same cases, and they can share their point of view. So it's also a really good resource. Also, you can get feedback from the data that will be in your hand during this time. And here I would like to mention that now we are working on newcomer tracker file and newcomer performance evaluation process. And newcomer tracker file will include all the data that will be generated by the performance process. So as a mentor, you will have an access to this data, and you can go through it and see how this process is going. And overall, to have all these information helps you not only to see how the progress is going, but at the same time to see how your work as a mentor is progressing. Our next component of a mindset, mentorship mindset, is as a mentor to be caring. Now let me explain what I mean here. Well, as a mentor, when you make a decision or when you even are asked to invest your time, invest your effort in mentorship, you should care about outcomes. You should care your invested time. You should care about your mentee's progress to make good results. And at the same time, let's be honest, you are anyway taking this time and putting into mentorship. So why don't you make this experience valuable for you and for your mentee? Also, when we are talking about mentor who cares who cares about outcomes, who cares about their mentees' progress, means that this person tries to track the overall mentorship process and to be able to see how this process is going, where this process is going, will this process will bring you as a mentor positive or negative results. So tracking the progress of your mentees is really important. And let's highlight some and make some example. It helps you not to only track your mentee's progress, but also helps you to see as a how you progress as a mentor. Let's say you have 4 mentees, and 3 out of them have the same, have the low scores in the same skill, let's say feedback handling skill. And as I mentioned previously, you have an access to these data, where to this newcomer tracker, where all the data that will be generated from newcomer performance review and evaluation. And you can go through this data, and if you see there are some tendency, for example, that your mentees have a low score in, some of your mentees have a low score in feedback handling skills, then you should start thinking why you are seeing this tendency, because your mentees didn't put enough value on feedback, because despite all your effort and despite all the facts that you gave detailed, and clear communication, what they need to work on, despite all these facts, your mentors didn't try to grasp the root of the problem and use your feedback as a tool to improve themselves, or as a mentor you didn't give timely and constructive feedback, didn't make clear what they need to work on. So these 2 components are really important, and all of this process about tracking mentorship, tracking your mentee's progress, helps you to understand first where your mentee is, how your mentee is progressing, and at the same time helps you to see as a mentor how you are progressing. Is the actions that you take and decisions you make is a positive, cause you and give you a positive result or negative one? The next component of mentorship mindset is as a mentor to encourage desired behavior. And what we mean here? Well, when mentees join our company, they aren't aware what we expect from them. They aren't aware what we require from them or what behaviors will help them during this process to progress faster. And to communicate what we expect from them is really important. But as a mentor, it's your responsibility to encourage the right attitude and to communicate to your mentees what is your expectations, what you expect from them. So as a mentor, we shared the file, newcomer performance evaluation process document. And based on this document, at Exactpro, we expect from mentees a good level of the following skills. And these skills are information getting skills, feedback handling skills, motivation, meeting deadlines, learnability, interaction with the team. But just to communicate all of these skills is not enough. You need to make it clear for your mentees what these skills mean in practice. So let's take one of the skills, let's say interaction with a team, and discuss what this skill mean in practice. When a mentee has good level at this skill, this person demonstrates interest with intelligent team working, tries to interact with other team members. For example, when you have a group meetings and other team members also attended, and there is some idea shared, this person has a healthy attitude towards other people's opinions, tries to use their opinion as a tool to see a new perspective of some topics or issue or subjects, and tries to find more additional source of information. At the same time, in encouraging desired behavior, one of the important components is to give your mentees timely feedback. Well, during this process, you will see a deviation from an expected behavior, but you should understand this deviation will have a positive or negative effect. Because let's be honest, deviation is not all deviation not always mean that will cause some negative results, because sometimes it might be connected to creativity. That's why when you see a deviation from expected behavior will cause a serious problem and will have a negative impact on the overall results, then you should communicate it to your mentees timely. And at the same time, when you see that this after feedback, the performance is improved and your mentee put some effort to make progress, you should acknowledge it to make it clear to your mentees that, you know, as a mentor, I see that you put effort in your work. I see that you make progress, and it's acknowledged in our company and in our team. The next component of mentorship mindset is as a mentor to be approachable. Well, and here we mean that as a mentor to be available to your mentees, but let's be honest, in day-to-day communication, it's not always possible to be available for your mentees, because there might be some more pressing or urgent things related to the project. And sometimes you might even don't have a time to answer questions in the chat. That's why in these cases, you should find someone that your mentee will be able to reach out and get information from this person, because during mentorship, one of the important components is your mentee is not to be lost, and your mentee is not to have a feeling that, you know, my mentee left me alone in this process. I don't have anyone who supports me. I don't know where I should go and all this stuff. Also, as a mentor, you know the best when you have a free time slot to take it and put it into your mentee's development. That's why please use that information to schedule catch-ups meetings with your mentees to get some insights about your mentee's progress, or even raise a task, topics, or issue. Also, during mentorship, being an approachable mentor means that you make your mentee feel comfortable around you, and they have a feeling that they can reach out to you if they have some obstacles, and they encounter some obstacles and they want to get your point of view, get your idea how to proceed in this process. The next component about mentorship mindset is as a mentor to use ask questions attitude. And in mentorship, one of the important part is not to be biased and not to make assumptions based on only one aspect of the information. And asking questions helps you to understand your mentee, helps you understand the situation and to make the right solution. You should find the real reason behind your mentee's behavior, and that's why it's important to be aware your mentee's environmental and situational changes, and these changes has a positive or negative impact. Well, let's say your mentee was not able to finish all the tasks that you gave, and this happened because your mentee didn't put enough effort in it, or there were some external factors that impacted your mentee's behavior. And these external factors might be, for example, health issues, technical issues, or many of our mentees are studying at the university, so they might have some exam sessions and they don't have enough time to work on that. So to be aware what happens around your mentee is really important. Another component in mentorship mindset is as a mentor to be respectful to differences. And let's be honest, during mentorship, you will meet mentees who will be totally different from each other. Some of them will learn quickly, some of them will learn slowly, and also as a mentor, you will encounter cases where your mentees have different progress and different attitudes towards work, but this doesn't mean that you shouldn't be patient with them or shouldn't give another chance after first try. That's why it's important to have an individual approach to your mentees, because every people learn differently. You as a mentor should understand what helps them in this learning process or what gets in their way. For example, during mentorship, you might have a mentee that at first didn't make a progress, but when this person adapts to the situation, and when this person finds a key point how he can progress and develop, then you might see really good results. And as a mentor, you are the person who helps mentee to find this key, how they can progress. With this slide, we cover the first part of our training, and it's a key components of mentorship mindset. Now we will go to another component of our mentorship training, which is 5 principles of successful mentors. And these principles can guide you and help you in this process. We will go through each principle step by step and explain what we mean under them. Well, the first principle is, as a mentor, to understand where your mentee is when you start mentoring, not where you think they should be. And here we mean that you shouldn't make assumptions about your mentee's skills, expectations, and attitudes without know it first. Well, when you start mentoring, it's really important to understand and learn about your mentee's skills, to have a clear idea what is the starting point of their learning and development process, where you need to start, from where you need to start it. And another point is to understand what is your mentee's expectations. Well, as you remember previously, I mentioned that when mentees join our company, we make it clear for them what is our expectations, what we require from them. But at the same time, it's important to understand what is your expectations, or to make it clear for them what expectations they should have towards you as a mentor. For example, your mentees might think that you should be available for them 24/7, or you are here because to do their work when they aren't able to do it, or because they have a mentor, they don't need to put effort into their work, or you are the only one source of information, and when they have a question, they shouldn't first try to find answers by themselves and come to you directly. No, your role as a mentor is to help and make your mentees able to do the work by themselves. Your role is to direct them, and it's not your role to do their work. So, but if we don't make it clear for our mentees, and if we don't communicate clearly what they should expect from you as a mentor, then there will be a misunderstanding. Also, it's really important to understand what is your mentee's attitudes toward challenges and obstacles. For example, during mentorship, you will have a mentees who see challenges as an opportunity to learn new things, and because they have this kind of drive to do difficult tasks, or they are obsessed to learn new things, do new things. But at the same time, you should keep in mind that there is a cases when these kind of people are overconfident, and they might take too much on themselves, and at the same time they might not have an ability to do it. And on the contrary, you might meet during mentorship, you might meet mentees who sees challenges as not the opportunity to learn. On the contrary, they are kind of intimidated by challenges and obstacles and don't want to come out their comfort zone. But at the same time, they are able to do more than they are doing. So it's really important as a mentor to see what are their ability and when they can be challenged during mentorship process. And now the second principle is to create a conversational safety space for your mentees as a mentor. Let's first describe what is a conversational safety space, and then how we can create it. Well, conversational safety space is when your mentee openly shares their ideas and opinions with you. More importantly, they recognize their mistakes, weaknesses. They can be vulnerable with you without the fear that they will be judged by you as a mentor. On the contrary, they know that if they tell you all of this, they have the opportunity to make progress because you are the person who will direct them towards it. Now let's talk about how we can create this kind of like space. But first and most important question is that, are you able to create it? And let me explain why. The attitude that you have towards your team members and the environment that you have in your team determine if there is a possibility for a safety space to be created, because your mentees are watching you. They are observing your behavior. They are observing situation, trying to find examples, and they are making decisions based on all of this information. They are making decisions if being open to you will bring them benefit, will bring them positive results. So to give your mentees examples that they can be open to you is really important. Let's say you have a group discussion and you reject one of your team members' opinion or idea. But the point here is not about rejection. The point here is how you reject the idea, because let's be honest, not all of the ideas and opinions will be like great or accepted, but when you reject, you should support your rejection with examples that the person who shares this opinion feels that, the idea really won't bring the results that we want to achieve or what our desired outcomes are. And this is an example for your mentees. And for example, if you just say and give like this kind of rejection, I think that your idea is totally useless, and never in the future say something like that. This is an example for your mentees that if I, as a mentee, share my idea, my opinion, it will be rejected the same way. So why I should do that? And your mentee will hold back, and they will just tell you what they think you want to hear, not what they really think, what they are really thinking on what's their reality. So in mentorship, creating a safety space helps you to see the real picture, to get the real opinion and idea what your mentee is thinking and of course feeling. The third principle is to create a positive and resilient relationship with your mentee. Well, during mentorship, the quality of relationship that you have with your mentee and that you and your mentee have are kind of decides if this relationship is able to go through the challenges that will arise during this process. And these challenges might be, for example, that you don't like your mentee's attitude, you don't like your mentee's approach, or your mentee don't like your attitude and approach. Then what we can do, how we can overcome this kind of challenge. The main question here is what we need to do to build a positive and resilient relationship that can like go through all these challenges, can overcome all these like obstacles. And what we need to do is to drive positive results through teamwork, decrease fear of feedback, and encourage and inspire ownership. We will go through each of them and explain what we mean here. Well, let's start with driving positive results through teamwork. Well, mentorship is built by a mentor and the mentee. That's why mentor and the mentee. Mentorship is not a one-way relationship. We are one part is actively involved in this process, takes effort to make a progress, but another part is passive. No, this kind of mentorship won't bring positive results. So team working plays an important role in this process because your work and your mentee's work are connected, and the outcomes are kind of determined based on how good you both are at team working, how you good are at working together. And during mentorship, and you should, as a mentor, you and your mentee should build mentorship upon listening actively and attentively to each other, accept each other's opinions, and respect each other. Also build trust, because without this kind of component, it's not easy to go through all these difficult cases and difficult times. And let's be honest, during mentorship, these times will happen, and we will have this kind of difficulties and challenges. And the next topic is to decrease the fear of feedback, and how decreasing fear of feedback helps us to create a positive and resilient relationship. Now I want to draw your attention to the research that was conducted by Neuro Leadership Institute representatives. And in this research, they found out that feedback about performance tends to activate the brain's primary threat network, which produces a feeling that we can compare to physical pain. Can you imagine a person who is giving or receiving feedback? This person's brain sees feedback as a threat and gives message to the body that, you are in a threatening situation and you need to do something and come out of the situation. And as a human beings, we naturally seek and try to don't feel pain. And because of that, we react defensively. And defensiveness can take the form of denial, rejection, counterattack, and also defensiveness block self-awareness, which helps us to see what is our strengths, what is our weaknesses, if we made a mistake, where we made it, and what we need to change. So the question is here, what we need to do to decrease the fear of feedback, because feedback is really important component of mentorship. It determines if there is a progress, if we know where we are going and what we need to change, right? So what we need to do to decrease the fear of feedback? Well, the first thing is to acknowledge the potential discomfort of the situation. Well, as a mentor, you can clearly communicate to your mentees that in general, feedback is connected to discomfort because, well, we are going to talk about our strengths and our weaknesses, and it's not, and as it is good to talk about our strengths and give a pat on our shoulders, it's not easy to talk about our weak parts of the work or our weaknesses or to be vulnerable. That's why, as a mentor, you should try to give your mentees examples that, in this process, you are not alone, because I also want to know your I want to know your point of view, what you think. I want to get your feedback, and we are both in the same boat. We are in this situation, and we are going to work on it together. And another thing that we can do to decrease the fear of feedback is to express our opinions as a mentors, our thoughts, facts, and feelings appropriately. And please keep in mind, when you give feedback, try to choose the right tone, the right words. First and foremost, to clearly communicate your feedback and clearly communicate what you need your mentees to work on, and at the same time not to make your mentees defensive, because your role as a mentor during mentorship is not to make your mentee defensive, because if your mentee becomes defensive, then there is no point of giving feedback, because this person, even if they say that they got your feedback, will reject you. So here, let's explain let's make some example. We will discuss two versions of the feedback, and we will change the words and tone in this example. Let's say first version will look like this. Based on the work experience that we had, I think that you are really bad at strategic thinking, and that's it. I gave this kind of feedback to my mentee. And on the second version, I will change the words, I will change the tone and make it more clear to our mentee what I mean. Well, based on the work that you shared, there were several major issues that you overlooked in your analysis, and then you will point out what they were and continue the communication in this way. I believe that we both want to make better outcomes or to progress. So let's work on these topics together. I will also help you in this process, and I will direct you towards progress. So we are in this situation together. We work together as a team. In the first version, as a mentee, I didn't make my feedback clear. My mentee won't get an idea what they need to work on, because I just said that you are bad at strategic thinking. And what do you mean I am bad at strategic thinking? You should make it clear. Also, after this kind of feedback, my mentee will reject my feedback, because they feel that they should come out of this threatening situation. On the second version, as a mentor, I clearly communicated what they need to work on, and that we will together work on that, because we are a team. And the next component to decrease the fear of feedback is to provide motivation, discuss likely consequences of continuing or changing actions. And let me explain what I mean here. Well, you as a mentor should clearly communicate what will be the consequences if your mentee changes or don't change their actions. Let's discuss example, and it will be, I guess, more clear. Well, in this example, our mentee has issues with communication and interaction skills, and we kind of try to show them what happens if these actions if they don't work on this skill and improve themselves. Let's say if you work on and improve your communication skills with the team members and use others' opinions as a tool to see new perspectives, you will be able to get more on-hand information about the subject or issue and solve it. Otherwise, you won't have all the details about the subject, and it will be hard to solve the issue. In this way, you will clearly draw the whole picture to your mentees what happens if they won't change their actions. And another important thing about decreasing fear of feedback is to acknowledge emotional responses and keep the communication goal-oriented. And here we mean that let's be honest, during mentorship, we will have mentees who will have an emotional response towards our feedback. And as a mentor, you should give them the opportunity to express their emotions. But at the same time, you should make the communication goal-oriented. You should clearly communicate with your mentees that feedback is about our past, what we did right and what we did wrong in our past. But it also gives us opportunity to improve ourselves in the future. That's why feedback is not our enemy. And as a mentor, I'm not your enemy. I'm not your enemy. I mean, the mentee. So let's make the best of these, let's take these best things from feedback, and let's work on it together, because again, we are one team and we will work on that together. So encouraging and inspiring ownership also helps you to build positive and resilient relationship. And let me explain why. Well, when our mentees encounter some obstacles or challenges, then let's say we give them a detailed explanation or instruction how they can do that. But and at the same time, we think that we did a great job as a mentor. But we encounter the cases when our mentee aren't able to put that into action, and we think what went wrong, what we did wrong. The thing that went wrong is that your mentee is not the person who get to that solution, because as a mentor, you took the opportunity of ownership of the solution from your mentees. They think that, I'm not able to get to that solution, so I don't have a motivation to put it into practice or to do it. For example, if I have if I encounter another obstacles, or if I have this kind of situations, then I will go to my mentee, because he will give me a direct and detailed mentor, because he or she will give me a direct and detailed explanation how I can do that. So what we need to do and how we can do that. Well, we need to find a balance between offering support and enabling our mentees to do things by themselves, because your role as a mentor is that to make them able to do the work by themselves. And how we can do that? By asking questions. Well, as a mentor, you ask questions to your mentees to make them able to see the task, obstacles in a new perspective, and direct them towards solution. Here we have two pictures that represent visual illusion. Some of you, when they look at them, will see a woman who is walking on the street, but some of them might see a human face. Your mentees also, when they look the overall processes, or when they look at first glance the task or the issue, they see the main details, what they can see at first glance. But as a mentor, you shouldn't, what they overlooked based on your experience. And as a mentor, you should probe, you should ask questions, so you make your mentees able to see what's behind the first glance subject, the first glance elements. Overall, you as a mentor ask questions to your, overall asking questions is really powerful tool, I would say. And as a mentor, you use that tool during mentorship in several situations. For example, when you want to initiate exploration, and for example, when you want to raise a new topic, or you want to give them new task, or want to make them think about the issue or some kind of problem, you can you can use and draft the questions like, what is the current situation? What factors are impacting the situation? How do they affect? And if there is any need to make some changes. Another situation when you ask question is to facilitate learning. Well, when you need in the process of mentorship to have a new way of thinking about some idea or some issue, and you raise and draft questions, something like, what do we know about this issue or topic? Are there these effects or assumptions that we have? I mean, information. What else do we need to know about it? What could be different? And based on all of this information, what are then the realistic goals? Next situation is when you want to guide planning. Well, when your mentee already have and it's clear for your mentee that this is a goal that they need to achieve, then you help them to plan how they are going to achieve it. And the questions that can be used are like, what are the desired outcomes of this goal? How will goals be achieved? What actions are needed? What might be the consequences? What resources we might need in this process? And the important question, I would say, is how will progress be monitored? How will progress be monitored? Like, you as a mentee will just communicate and write to me in the chat that you did this today or that, or we will have some kind of, I don't know, timetable in the Google Sheet where I can keep an eye to this process. And also, when will action begin? When you start take action and put all this like plan into practice. And you ask questions to support implementation. And here I mean that when your mentees already have the idea what they need to do and how they can do it, then as a mentor, you should like keep an eye to this process. And you can do that by raising questions, even in the chat or during face-to-face interaction in like catch-ups and meetings. Something like how the process is going. Are adjustments needed? If yes, what adjustments are needed? Which expected outcomes are being produced? Are there unexpected outcomes? What would be done differently next time to make the better outcome, better results, or make progress faster? Now let's get back to the 5 guiding principles. And the first principle is to drive risk-taking for new behaviors. Here, I would say that paradoxical action in mentorship is that as a mentor, you first create safe environment for your mentees. And after that, you push your mentees to take risks and put new behaviors into real-time action. Yet it is the very safety of you being in the wings that allows your mentee to take these new and boldly behaviors into action. And here I would like to mention as an example how we learn to swim. Well, when you first go to swimming classes, your instructor doesn't push you and throws you into ocean and comments, go ahead and learn how to swim. No, the first this safe environment is created. For example, we can say in this case, a safe environment is a pool. And this kickboards that helps you to swim or float on the water is also the safety for you. And in our case, the safe environment for our mentees is the time period that we give mentees to learn and develop. And in this process, as a mentor, you direct them and push them to take risks and put new behaviors into real-time action. And also, as a mentor, you use mishaps as a key element of development and show them based on that what they need to work on in the future. The fifth, and I would say the last principle, and we kind of get back to the last slide of our lecture, is that to take intentional steps during the mentorship. Overall, it's really important to take intentional steps because it helps us to achieve results, because without intention, if you don't know what you need to do, it's really hard to achieve the desired outcomes. And in mentorship process, to achieve good results, you need to be clear on the results you should achieve first. And for example, you should be clear to yourself and you should be clear to your mentees. For example, you can create even a detailed plan where you will highlight what is first 2 weeks goals or results that you should achieve. The next 2 weeks, or overall, what is a 1 month like desired goals that we should achieve, then you need to be clear about what you should do to achieve these results, and also when you should do it. As I mentioned previously, as a mentor, you know when you have this like free time slot, and you can use that to schedule when you put your like time and effort into your mentee's development. So this need to be like planned beforehand, not just like, you know, I have 5 minutes and let's just get me back to my mentee and give some information. No, it will cause a chaos into your mentorship like relationship and process. And another important part is to keep an eye on the process, because keeping an eye on the process gives you a power to control it and to understand where it is going. It will bring you the positive outcomes, positive results, or it will bring you the negative one. And also it gives you ability to impact and make some changes and make some adjustments to bring overall positive like results. This is the like final part of our lecture. Thanks again for listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to write it in the chat and discuss the things that you might think that was not like clearly covered, or you want to get additional information. So feel free to do that. Well, I guess everything was clear. Okay, here we have the question. What if we set those positive situations and let our mentees to get used to them? Then they face real life tasks and can handle them. How to deal with this situation? Well, first and foremost, you need to understand if they have the ability to do that. And I guess during these like safety environments, they were able to do that, right? And when you give them this chance to go to the real time, to go to the real situation, take the action, then you should. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep an eye how they do that. It doesn't mean that you should leave them at first. But yeah, I guess it's really important to also keep an eye to the next steps, how they do that in the practice, I guess. If it's not clear, Nicholas, you can ask again.
Well, and I would also add here that it's a lot about balance, and of course you can give the safety space for a person, but there should be a moment, it must be a moment when they can swim on their own. So without further challenges, the overall onboarding and education process, it just doesn't seem required, because what we do in the safety space is we are preparing a person for future challenges. So they have instruments, they have understanding of what is required from them, what are the expectations, and then we just push them to these new challenges where they can actually try what they learned, try what they know, and some things will not be clear, but we are still their mentors who can support them and kind of give some guidance to resolve the issue.
Okay, do we have any additional questions? Well, I guess we don't have, so let's close today's training. But beforehand, I want to highlight that we will have a second session in the next 2 weeks, so we will meet again. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.